how do things get distributed to others? We refer to this as distribution, and this is, the movement of food and other goods from the producers to the rest of society. So there are two main processes that anthropologists see around the world for distribution of food and other goods, and these are reciprocity and redistribution. So starting with reciprocity. Reciprocity is a term that basically just means exchange, right? If you have a reciprocal relationship with someone, it often means that you do something for them, they do something for you. We can think about this reciprocity as gift giving, really. And gifts in this sense are not only physical things like, a coffee mug or some flowers, but any kind of service that you perform for someone, anytime that you give someone your time, any kind of, extra help or care that you give to someone. All of this is, these are all gifts that we give people. Early in anthropology, an anthropologist named Marcel Mauss, M-A-U-S-S, he talked about gifts as the foundation of the human economy. And you can think about almost everything we do as gift giving when we're talking about interactions between people. So for instance, if someone says something nice to you, that could be considered a gift. Do you shrug it off and then therefore they feel like you haven't accepted their gift? Or do you say thank you, which sort of closes that loop? If you have, an uncle who comes to stay with you for an extended period of time and doesn't do the dishes and breaks things, after a while, and if, that uncle's not paying you any rent or contributing in any way to the household, after a while, you really feel like, you've been giving a lot more than this person has, and you feel like your relationship is uneven or unequal. When someone doesn't reciprocate in a relationship, no matter what kind of relationship it is, it can be really detrimental to that relationship. And in fact, it can cut it off, right? You may never want to see your uncle again after this period of time in which he took advantage of you and your household. So it's not only individuals that are sort of bound by gifts and reciprocity. It's also groups of people. It can be political groups. It can be, for instance, even countries who give each other things in order to remain sort of politically equal. So reciprocity is a very important concept in the economy of humans, whether it is physical gifts, money, or non-tangible things such as time or effort. There are three types of reciprocity: generalized, balanced, and negative. In generalized reciprocity, we see this mostly with people who are very close to us, sort of in our inner circle, maybe our family, our close friends. And generalized reciprocity has to do with the fact that you will give things freely to people in your inner circle, knowing and trusting that they will give you things freely as well. So in this image, you see a Jute-Quasi hunter who is butchering an animal and divvying that up among people of his band. And among the Jute-Quasi and other hunters and gatherers or foragers, they will often give the nicest portions of the meat to others and keep the sort of smallest portions for themselves. So what does this do? What this does is it ensures that in the future, when other hunters bring in their meat, that they will share the nicest portions of that meat with them. So this is a specialized sharing process, right? Reciprocity is, that ensures survival for foragers or hunter-gatherers. Balanced reciprocity is more strict. So this is Wimpy, who is from the cartoon Popeye, a very old cartoon, but perhaps you know it. And Wimpy's famous line is, "I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today." So what Wimpy's asking for is, he's asking, if I take this thing now, I know how much it is, I know how much you want for it, I will pay you by this date. Right? So this is balanced reciprocity. It is giving of gifts when the value of the gift and the time frame of repayment is specified. So Wimpy must have continued to pay on Tuesdays because he keeps getting hamburgers. If he ended up not paying one day, I'm sure those hamburgers would stop coming his way. So this is something that we see across cultures with imbalanced reciprocity in terms of groups, clans, communities, nations, for instance, owing each other things, knowing the value of those things, and knowing when they need to be paid back. And wars can be started if this kind of strict reciprocity is not met. Finally, negative reciprocity has to do with sort of pretending that items are worth more than they actually are. There's a picture here of cacao beans. This is what chocolate looks like before it's chocolate. There's a big pod, and then the beans inside are coated. So this has to do with negative reciprocity because, for instance, the Aztecs used cacao beans and cacao pods as currency. And there was in certain archaeological sites, there's evidence that the cacao pod was opened, all the good cacao was removed, and then it was stuffed with dirt and other things, and then put back together in a type of counterfeiting, right? So even the Aztecs were trying to pull the wool over each other's eyes with counterfeiting. So that would be negative reciprocity, trying to get something for nothing. Moving on to the second kind of distribution, this is what we call redistribution. And redistribution only happens when you have a central source where money and items can flow into, like, for instance, a religious organization, a temple, a church, some sort of religious location, or a political organization, right? A government building, an IRS, for instance, a chief's house. So it's when people pay money and other items to that central source, and then those things are sort of sorted and counted and then reallocated back out to the people, either in their original form or in another form. So for instance, every year we pay taxes. Other locations, other places in the world, they pay tribute, or they have paid tribute. A tribute is not like the Hunger Games kind of tribute, but giving items to the authorities of their community. And then those taxes, in our case, are hopefully used to make improvements in our infrastructure, for instance, build roads and things like that. It could also be religious offerings, like in the right-hand side, on the bottom corner, we have a puja offering, which is a Hindu offering of food to the gods. Those religious offerings may be collected in some locations and then reallocated back out to the people, so nobody goes home hungry from this feast. On the left-hand side at the bottom, this is a Haida community of the Pacific Northwest who are participating in what's called a potlatch, or a giveaway feast. Potlatches have been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and the potlatches are feasts in which people of a clan or people of multiple clans will come together, and gifts are given. Today they are used in very social ways, for instance, in order to celebrate the birth of a child or to celebrate something that is happening in the community. In the past, over 100 years ago, when potlatches took place, they would often give away really mass quantities of items to another clan, and with the expectation that the next time they met, that other clan would then give them as much as or more back. So it was a way to redistribute items while at the same time, creating a lot of production.